Welcome back, everyone. Jerry, it looks like we have everybody back in the large group.
Welcome back. I hope that you had a good discussion and that it triggered some things in your own mind of what you could do in your own program as you listen to what others have done. So what we want to do now is just have each of the groups report. Let's start with Jesus D. Can you?
Yes.
Okay,
Hello.
we hear you.
I was in breakout room 15. So I had Deanne, I had Peter, I had Rachel, I had Helen, I had a few people on there, but what we talked about, some of our strategies with personal affirmations is having older students or older peers come in and also speak to give them a chance to relate to somebody. Very carefully also, you can include some self-disclosure. I know I personally spoke, being a Latino man, one of my biggest dreams would be to be a college professor. And growing up, you know, my parents sometimes would be like, oh, you have to be a hard worker. I myself experienced around the same time that Dr. Hellman experienced, around that same age. I was also homeless, so I would have never in my life expected him to even share that. So him sharing that, it literally did give me hope in that sense. So sometimes sharing that personal story can help a student relate and see that their shortcomings now don't necessarily have to stop them from reaching a goal later in the future. And Be Strong, we like to give students quote cards with positive quotes so they can walk away with. So even in a moment that they feel down, they can look at this quote card and they say different things. You were made to be strong, be patient with yourself, different things like that. So incorporating those things. And when it comes to goals, strategies for goal setting, rewarding them, incentivizing the students, you know, leading them in vision and dream board activities, and just explain to them the difference between short-term and long-term goals. And some of the challenges we have experienced with the youth is with the social media, the way that life is. There's a lot of scrutiny and disappointment that comes from the social aspect. We're so used to sharing the successes, but we don't really share the moments where we are working hard or we fell short. And on a day like today, 8/24, right? Kobe Bryant, one of his favorite things was to share about his shortcomings. He says he remembered more the games that he lost, the moments that he did not win or he did not achieve the goal, and made him work harder in the next year. So he became so great because he had a lot of short moments. And one of the more interesting points that I liked here on how we can incorporate hope more.
Your last point, Jesus.
Yes, to do rose and thorn moments. What did you like and what you can improve more in your life?
Great. Thank you. Very good. Jordan.
I believe I was in group 1. So we had a really great discussion. I think if we had to give our group a title, it would probably be hope is the mindset, or like hope as a mindset. And so I think we talked a lot about just the hope mindset and how powerful it is. Another really big, like, kind of OMG moment that we all had was the fact that the hope scores were a little bit more predictive than the ACT and SAT scores. And I think we all kind of related to that and said to ourselves, like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, you know? And so I think those are probably some of the really key messages. Also talking about just like the value and the impact that visualization and goal setting can have with students were some really key points that we discussed. Yeah, and just that hope can be taught. And I think that was a really key point and really big pieces from our discussion that we had.
Thank you, Jordan. And maybe the others remember your group 2. I know group 2 was Penny. So let me call on Penny, group 2.
Hello, everyone. I'm not going to name everyone in the group. Just thank you, group 2. I'm going to just go over a few things we talked about as far as activities or things you could do as far as strategies. Basically, it was centered around hope and goals. I shared something we do with young ladies. I'm not actually in the classroom, but I do small groups with 7th grade girls. And we do something called a habit tracker. And it is basically 90 bubbles on a sheet of paper. And each day they either pick a goal that they want to continue or something that they know they should possibly stop doing. And so each day they just bubble in and they just try and make that a habit of continuing past that 30, 60, or 90-day mark. We talked about another group does conversations where they ask the question, what do they value? Like if it's family, and if picking a certain decision would harm their family, let's say they get into early sex and become pregnant, how is that going to affect those things that they value? You know, if it's home life, it's his family, somebody's got to take care of the baby, financially speaking, and all of those. It doesn't just affect you, but it affects everything that you value in life. We talked about sometimes you may set a goal and you might mess up, fall off track. They use an Etch-a-Sketch to kind of draw out something and then you mess up, but you can shake it and start over. So we talked about the starting over aspect. I think Ms. Jane talked about they implement where they teach kids how to do resumes, and they do role play as far as like talking on the phone, just the basic phone skills. You take it for granted kids know how to answer the phone and talk properly on the phone, but they do role play with them, do an interview process as a role play with them. Someone does SMART goals, and we do something, examples and scan, which I believe Mr. Jose just spoke about, Jesus spoke about, where we bring people in that have been where those kids are, so that they can relate, they can see whatever your circumstance is, you can come out of that and be on top. So basically that's a wrap up of what we talked about.
Thank you, Penny. Penny's from Choosing to Excel in Arkansas. Terry, you have your hand raised. Terry White.
I could be speaking for Terry. I'm actually Christy Shaw, and I'm from the Clarity Education team in Columbus, Indiana. But I think we were group 10. I think we decided that. And so, hey, group 10, we talked a lot about, there's some great ideas shared. And so people were saying we were learning from each other. But basically a lot of what people are saying, goal setting, you know, talking about that future, that's how these students are going to be able to have that hope. Like, what are they doing today to get to that future? We all feel like we need some more application. How, you know, we visited these students for, you know, a week or so. How can we then meet them in the future or continue that conversation or continue to encourage them? So we would like to do, you know, maybe some kind of outreach activity on a Saturday to bring as many people back as we can. We had a wonderful gentleman who does they do videos on YouTube. They have like 10 to 15 students that the teachers choose in their classroom to make a video about maybe something that the teens are struggling with that goes along with the presentation that they went through, and they work through this through a certain time. And then all these YouTube presentations are put on his website, and then they get to vote, and they have like these Academy Awards for the best video. And we thought that was so cool, that application, because, you know, they're not only hearing, but they're able to practice those goals or that future or working through that problem and inciting that hope. So
Great. Thank you. Lucy, tell us where you're from and your group.
Hi, yes, I'm in Northern California, and I was with an amazing group of people. I don't remember everyone's names. Let's see, Lewis and all the others. So some of the things we really talked about, I'd say if there was a word for our group, it would be the importance of imagination. And something that people kept highlighting was you have to see it. You have to visualize it before you can see it happen. And so a big thing that people highlighted was that, you know, especially if they haven't seen what that would look like for them to be out of their circumstances, that they need really a lot of help coming in there and building vision for what does that look like if you haven't seen it before. So great tools that were expressed were writing for goal setting, we're writing letters to your former self and your future self. Vision boards were talked about. And then I thought it was also really good. Someone mentioned that in their programming time with schools, they actually allocated time to do these type of activities. And I thought that was very wise. So I think that was the basis. So yeah, we had a great time.
Great. Thank you, Lucy. Some great ideas to be shared. That's great. David Cardenas, tell us where you're from.
Hello, everybody. Well, thank you for having me. I'm David. I'm from Southern California, specifically in the Compton area. And our organization is Entrepreneur Youth Empowerment Services. So yeah, we were group 7. So we shared a lot. So definitely a lot of things that people have shared. Definitely some of the things that stood out was like having a boot camp, right? Bringing in a guest speaker during lunchtime that can attest to maybe their journey of hope, right? Like a lot of us have been hearing from various speakers today. So I thought that was really neat. I also think about, right, program materials with positive affirmations for youth, just that simple reminder. And I think also just youth need to be aware of that language, right? And a lot of times maybe they're not aware and they're not used to it. So introducing just that very idea of operational hope in the beginnings of our programs, and continue to sprinkle it out, because we could talk about it in different lessons, how it can be integrated into breakups, right, with our curriculum, positive relationships, and things like that. And lastly, another big thing, going back to this, the imagination, right? Imagination is the instrument of hope. So trying to relate it to something that they are aware of, maybe not the driving a manual transmission, but maybe riding a bike, maybe taking SATs, applying for college, things that might be more into their current realm, to integrate all of these ideas. But yeah, I think just being aware of this, right? Introducing it, being aware.
Great. Thank you, David. And let's go to Alexis.
Hey, I actually don't remember the group number, but I know I was with Michelle and Chelsea, so apologize for not remembering the group number, but we had a lot of good conversations. A lot of it centered on how it was important, like that powerful imagery in motivating the youth. So we talked about how sometimes the youth don't have a sense of being able to graduate. I think we were 11. Yeah, I don't remember if it was 6 or 11. So thanks. But someone in the group brought up that they have a thing that they do where they take a picture of a youth with a cap and gown to help them visualize them graduating and put the year underneath so that it can help remind them of their goal. And they revisit and ask what they have done that week to help keep moving towards that goal. And that led to other conversations about how to just keep supporting them and to keep asking questions instead of giving the answers, so that it can help them start to own their own goals and actually help plan it. And in doing so, can bring in other people like their parents and their friends to support them at graduation, which in turn strengthens their resolve and motivation to keep going. So a lot of it is empowering them, helping them visualize, checking in and asking those questions, and rather than just giving them the answer, so that they are like, this is my idea, this is my desire.
Thank you, Alexis. And let's go to Pauk Rojas. Am I saying that correctly?
No, it's Paul. I spelled it wrong. That's my fault. That's my fault. I got into our group a little late, but because I don't know, the connection's been weird this morning with everything. But when I did get in, there were speaking on how to bring in hope in your class and to maintain that level of unconditional regard. And some of the stuff that we pointed out was we saying that we love you without wanting we love you and want the best for you without actually saying that through our actions. It's that old saying of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's a great starting point. We talked about certain things of how we start our groups and things like that. And that even when you start your group, there will be opposition, but you ourselves is showing that we have a goal and showing them that we can continue to go forward as well. Building a safe haven and a good ground for communication, we thought were two key components, which I brought, I think are pretty much good ones. Other thing is being open and maybe possibly sharing, personal stories, but using wisdom and having tools such as icebreakers to start convos and learning to teach them how to have short-term goals. And I'm going to be short because there's only so many things we did. But one thing we did, how to open a youth imagination. One thing we did, we as allowed youth that had already went through the program, we built an incentive for them to make a short video of what they learned and how you know, what they learned and what they got out of it. And then we gave them like a gift card for the best video. But I think it's a really good way of allowing that video to be played as a tool to recruit, but also show these youth that it's much more than what they expect coming in, you know. And so that's pretty much what we discussed. I'll be short and simple.
Thank you so much. Let's go. We have two more. Nancy Blue, tell us where you're from and then about your group.
Okay, hello, how's everyone? Jerry, I'm Nancy L. Blue and I'm from North Carolina. And people in my group were from several other areas, but as quickly as I possibly can, our focus was on pretty much, in summary, that hope, staying focused on hope has to do with strengths that have been laying dormant. And change thinking leads to change behavior that leads to changed end results. And getting to know themselves makes all the difference in the world, because your mission is only impossible without you. So we talked about affirmation statements. Those are statements of fact, first person, present tense. And you don't state them as going to happen, but as they already exist. And so we talked about having them do a book creator, and that involved all of the wellness compasses, the 8 dimensions of the wellness compass. And we know that documentation beats conversation. So for them to write these things down, getting to know themselves, they could even write poems about themselves. And we want to educate the community, bringing in people from all aspects, the police department, the health department, and have sessions on educating the parents, educating the community, so that we can speak the same language and helping our youth reach that desired end results. Because imagination plus vividness, and the vividness is when you write it down, then it becomes real to you, and it doesn't happen overnight. So we talked about so many different things as far as setting goals. And in the book creator, they can always go back and refer to the book creator. And in the book creator, their poem would be there that they've written about themselves. And so writing affirmation statements. Is time running out?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
Appreciate it. We have now we have 3 more to go. So I'm going to give each of them a minute. Azalea.
Hi, everybody. So I'm a TTA provider at Public Strategies. I was not successful in my goal of getting a spokesperson for our group, but I am hopeful that throughout the next couple of days, they'll feel comfortable sharing out. We talked about a lot of things, but one commonality was that Dr. Hellman mentioned, you know, he had that one person that gave him hope when he was in a state of hopelessness. And so the staff agreed that one action item is that staff should practice active hope in their own lives so that they can model that for staff. If you're not doing it, how can you share with youth? And so in that way, you're increasing the number of people who can be that one person, or more people, right, to increase that hope for youth. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Azalea. Let's go to Nancy.
So I was successful in getting a recruit to present, but Carissa's 2-year-old was really sick and started crying, so she had to jump off.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back? Go ahead, go for it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all over the place with him right now. I apologize.
You have a minute, Carissa.
Yeah, okay. All right. Group 9, we were awesome. Okay, words we used. We talked about celebrating their accomplishments, being very intentional, and helping them do goal setting, providing a non-judgmental safe space, always being optimistic and helping them with action steps, providing stability and consistency in the environment, teaching them things such as resiliency tools, showing them through the goal setting and action steps that anyone can make a difference. Those are kind of the key conversations and like those key words that we talked about. I think that was under a minute.
Thank you, Carissa. And Radhika, you'll be the last one. Thank you.
Yeah. It's Radhika, and we were group 4, and I'm actually going to throw it over to Vicky, who is our spokesperson. So go ahead, Vicky.
I was group 4, and I wanted to say it was a great group. Radhika Cruz was an excellent moderator. I wanted to quote Einstein, who said, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." And knowing that, we wanted to spend a lot of time on, most of us do programs that incorporate goals, but we want to spend more time on visualization and maybe doing vision boards and trying to integrate the science of hope throughout our current curriculum. And also to use the science of hope to push back against unhopeful cultural or family norms by imagining a future that transcends those norms. And we want to model a hopeful outlook and try to create an organization of hope within our organizations.
Thank you, Vicky. And we want to bring in James Wall also. I see your hand, James. Did you have a spokesperson or do you want to speak?
Yes, we did. We had Alice Jackson. Alice, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
All right. So in group 5, we, number 1 of our strategies, we thought about continuing to encourage daily encouragement of the youth, but also the staff, those that are working with our youth. Number 2, we came up with sometimes you will dip, which means that you may get discouraged. However, you can bounce back, and that's, encourage yourself, and therefore you're able to encourage the youth. Also, we talked about hope. Our whole entire conversation was about hope. The things that we took from that is to number 4, I think it was number 4. Number 4 is that no kid is born depressed. All kids are born with a great self-esteem. And so therefore there are things that happens, trauma, a traumatic experience that happens that causes some things to happen in their lives. So what we thought about is, as we are encouragers, as those that are in the field working with our youth or working with those that work with the youth, to always encourage and build, because all youth can bounce back, providing they have the right encouragers around them. And we also talked about always help them to dream again and to imagine their future. And we left with the thought of hope. I think Dr. Helmut talked about hope, just being able to imagine where you are and using the strategy of having them to close their eyes and begin to think about it. So that was some of the things that we talked about.
Thank you, Alice. And I know we're out of time, but did I miss a group? Any group leader that I missed or missed somebody in your group? We didn't go numbers, so I didn't keep track. Kirsten.
Yes, but our spokesperson put our summary in the chat.
Okay.
Group 13.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds like you had great conversations, and we'll have more of those in the next 2 days. Thank you for participating. Thank you for the facilitators and all the people that took part. Really appreciate it. So take a break, and we'll see you, I think, in about 10 minutes.